Some stories begin with love at first sight. Others begin with a single photograph seen by accident in the middle of a sleepless night. This is one of those stories. About a man who'd forgotten how to feel. About a woman abandoned when she needed someone most. About how sometimes the most unlikely people find each other exactly when they're both about to give up on everything. But before we get to how it all began, we need to see where it almost ended. Busan St. Mary's Hospital, 48 hours from now. Rain hammering against the windows. The kind of storm that makes you feel like the sky itself is grieving. The emergency room doors burst open. A man carries a woman in his arms. She's unconscious, bleeding, 6 months pregnant and barely breathing. The man's expensive black coat is soaked through with rain and blood, some of it hers, most of it his. He's been shot, twice, but he won't let anyone touch him, won't let anyone take her from his arms. His name is Young Rae, 33 years old, leader of an organization most people in Busan know better than to mention by name, a man who built his reputation on being untouchable, someone who never showed weakness because in his world, weakness got you killed. But right now, standing in that hospital corridor with blood dripping from his wounds, he looks like he's about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. The emergency room doors swing closed, taking her away from him, taking her somewhere he can't follow. And for the first time in 15 years, since the night his entire family was murdered, Young Rae feels completely, terrifyingly helpless. A doctor approaches, tries to get him to sit down, to let them treat his injuries. But Young Rae doesn't move, just stands there staring at those closed doors. "Sir, you need medical attention. You've lost a lot of blood." Young Rae's voice comes out rough, raw, but every person in that hallway hears it clearly. "If anyone wants her to die, they'll have to step over my body first." Then his legs give out. He collapses against the wall, still staring at those doors, still waiting, still refusing to leave even as darkness creeps in. The last thing he sees before passing out is rain streaking down the window. The last thing he thinks is a prayer he hasn't said since he was a child. "Please, please let her live. Please don't take her away too." The screen goes dark. White letters appear. 48 hours earlier. And now, let me tell you how a man who'd sworn never to care about anyone again found himself willing to die for a woman he'd never even met. It started with social media. With a post that should have disappeared into the endless scroll of content we all see and forget within seconds. But sometimes, the right post finds the right person at exactly the right moment. Young Rae's penthouse overlooked Busan's harbor, 43rd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city spread out below. It was late, past 3 in the morning. He couldn't sleep, hadn't slept properly in months. When you lived the kind of life he lived, sleep was dangerous. Sleep meant letting your guard down. So he stood at those windows, watching the city, watching life happen to other people, people who could sleep, people who had normal problems, people who didn't carry blood on their hands. His phone was on the table behind him. He'd been scrolling mindlessly. Social media was a strange vice for someone in his position. Dangerous even. But he maintained accounts under false names, watched the world from a distance. Sometimes it made him feel less alone. Sometimes it made the loneliness worse. He went back to the phone, scrolled without really seeing. Then something made him stop, made him actually look instead of just scrolling. A photograph. A woman. Clearly pregnant. Maybe 6 months along. But it wasn't the pregnancy that made him stop. It was her face. She'd been crying. Recently. Her eyes were swollen, red. The kind of crying that comes from the soul. And she was alone. You could tell even from a photograph. But what really caught his attention was the caption, written in English. "He left, but you keep growing every day. We'll be okay. Just a little tired. Yang stood there holding his phone, staring at that photograph, at that woman, at that unborn child. And something happened that he didn't expect. He felt something. Not just passing sympathy, but actual visceral reaction. Like someone had reached into his chest and grabbed his heart and squeezed. He knew that kind of loneliness, had lived in it for so long he'd thought it was just what life felt like. But seeing it on someone else, seeing it on a pregnant woman who should have been surrounded by support, made him angry, made him feel the desire to help, to protect. No one should have to face that alone, he said to the empty room. He looked at the profile. Public. No privacy settings. Her name was Raina Muen, 25 years old. American. Black. A freelance designer based in Busan. The posts told a story. A relationship that had seemed happy. Photos with a Korean man. Then the posts changed. Became more solitary. Then stopped. Then restarted with just her. Just her growing belly. Just her facing everything alone. The boyfriend had left when he found out about the pregnancy. Or his family had forced him to leave. Either way, Raina had been left to handle it all by herself, in a foreign country, without support. Just her and a baby that would be born into a world that had already proven itself cruel. Something in Yang chest tightened, because naming it would mean acknowledging that he still had the capacity to care, and caring was dangerous. Caring got you hurt. But he couldn't stop looking at that photograph, at the way she held her belly like she was trying to protect her child from a world that had already failed them both. He made a decision, the kind of decision that would change everything. He called No Se-yeon, his chief strategist. It was nearly 4 a.m, but she answered on the second ring. People in their world didn't keep normal hours. I need information on someone, Yang said without preamble. A woman named Raina Muen, American, currently living in Busan. I want everything, by tomorrow. There was a pause. May I ask why? Because she's alone in a city full of wolves, and no one's protecting her. That needs to change. Understood. I'll have the information by morning. Yang stood there holding his phone, looking at that photograph again. He thought about his own mother. Dead for 27 years. Murdered when he was 6 years old. Killed along with his father and older sister by people his father had trusted. He'd survived only because his mother had hidden him in a closet. He thought about the child Raina was carrying, about what that child's life would be like. Born to a single mother in a foreign country, growing up knowing their father had abandoned them. That was no way to come into the world. And Yang thought about something else. Something he never talked about. The genetic condition that made him sterile. That meant he'd never be a father. Never hold his own child. Never pass on anything of himself. Maybe that's why that photograph hit him so hard. Because it represented everything he couldn't have. A chance to create something good. Something innocent. But he could protect it in someone else. He could make sure Raina and her child had what he'd never have. Safety. Security. Someone watching over them. That was something. That was, in its own way, redemption. Yang didn't sleep that night. Stood at his window watching the sun rise over Busan, knowing his life would never be normal. But maybe, he could give someone else a chance at normal. At safe. At loved. By noon, Se-yeon had sent the information. Everything about Raina's life laid out in clinical detail. Everything painted a picture of someone who'd been trying hard to build a life and had it collapse around her. She'd come to Korea 3 years ago, met Lee Do-jin through mutual friends, fallen in love quickly, completely, got pregnant, expected support, got abandonment instead. Do-jin's family was traditional, wealthy, connected. They'd made it clear that a foreign woman, especially a black woman, wouldn't be accepted. She'd chosen to stay, had clients, had an apartment, had a life, even if it was harder than it should be. The report included her current address, a neighborhood Yongray knew. Not dangerous exactly, but not safe either. The kind of place where a pregnant woman alone would be vulnerable. He made another decision, one that crossed lines. He would watch her, make sure she was safe, from a distance, without her knowledge. Because asking permission meant explaining, and explaining meant revealing things about himself he wasn't ready to reveal. For the next 4 days, Yongray followed someone who wasn't an enemy, wasn't a business target. He just watched, observed, learned her patterns, her life. He saw her climb the steep hill to her apartment every morning, saw the way she had to stop halfway up, breathing hard, hand on her back, the pregnancy making everything harder. He saw her at the market, buying the cheapest vegetables, the discount meat, calculating every purchase, living on a budget that didn't stretch as far as it needed to. He saw her throw up in an alley, morning sickness that still happened even 6 months in, alone, no one stopping to help, no one even noticing. But the worst was the night he saw her in the rain. She'd been walking home from a client meeting. The weather had turned suddenly. She'd stood under an awning, but it didn't pass. Eventually, she just started walking, letting the rain soak through her coat. Mixing with tears he could see even from a distance. She'd stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, put both hands on her belly, and spoken. He couldn't hear the words, but he could read her lips. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, baby. You deserve better than this. Better than me." Yongray had felt something crack inside his chest, because he knew that feeling, knew what it was like to feel inadequate, to feel like you weren't enough. He'd felt that way since the night his family died, but he also knew something Raina didn't seem to know. She was wrong. She wasn't inadequate. She was surviving impossible circumstances with grace and dignity and strength that most people would never need to develop. She was carrying a child she loved despite abandonment. She was working, trying, fighting, still standing when everything had given her permission to collapse. That wasn't weakness. That was the strongest thing he'd ever seen. That night, standing in the rain watching her cry, Yongray made a third decision, the most important one, the one that would change both their lives. He wouldn't just watch anymore. He would step into her life, reveal himself, offer help, offer protection, offer something he hadn't offered anyone in 15 years, the possibility of trust. It was dangerous, for both of them, because his world was violent. His life was complicated. His enemies were many. Bringing an innocent person into that world, bringing a pregnant woman into that world, was selfish, reckless, potentially catastrophic. But he couldn't stop himself, couldn't walk away, couldn't leave her to face everything alone when he had the power to help, when he could give her child the safety and security every child deserved, when he could give her what he'd never had, someone who chose to stay instead of leaving. So he waited for the right moment, the right opportunity to step from shadow into light, to stop being the invisible watcher and become the visible protector, to start something that would either save them both or destroy them both. 3 days later, that moment came, and everything changed, forever. 48 hours earlier, before the blood and the rain and the desperate race to the hospital, Yongray had been in his penthouse overlooking Busan Harbor. It was late, past midnight. The city below sparkled with lights reflecting off wet streets. Always raining in Busan lately. Like the weather matched everything. Gray, heavy, oppressive. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, drink in hand, looking at the city he partially controlled. at the empire he'd built through intelligence and ruthlessness, at the success that felt emptier with each passing year. Yang Rui was 33 years old. Young for someone in his position, he'd taken control after his predecessor's death left a power vacuum, had consolidated power quickly, efficiently, through careful strategy, through knowing when to be ruthless and when to show mercy, through understanding that power wasn't just about violence but about intelligence. But success came with costs. The higher you climbed, the more isolated you became, the fewer people you could trust, the less human connection you could afford. Yang Rui had learned that lesson young. His father had been kind, had trusted people, had believed in loyalty and honor, and he'd died for it. Murdered by someone he'd considered a brother, someone he'd trusted completely. Yang Rui had been 23 when it happened, old enough to understand what had been lost. The trauma had shaped everything about who he'd become. He'd learned to trust no one, to show no weakness, to keep everyone at arm's length. It had worked. He'd survived, built power, made Black Moon into something feared and respected. But it had also made him lonely in ways he rarely acknowledged. And there was one more wound. One more thing he carried that nobody knew about. He couldn't have children. A medical condition. Genetic. Irreversible. The doctors had explained it carefully. Gently. Like they were delivering sad news rather than destroying a future he'd never really thought about until it was impossible. It shouldn't have mattered. He'd told himself repeatedly it didn't matter. He lived a dangerous life. Bringing children into his world would be irresponsible anyway. But late at night, alone in his penthouse, Yang Rui couldn't quite convince himself. Couldn't quite kill the grief of losing something he'd never had. That night, unable to sleep, he'd picked up his phone, started scrolling through social media. It was a habit, a way to watch the world, to see what normal people were doing, living, all the mundane daily existence his life didn't include anymore. And then he saw it. The photograph that changed everything. The image showed a young woman, African American, maybe 25 years old, beautiful in an understated way, turned slightly to the side, showing her obvious pregnancy. 6 months, maybe. Her hand rested protectively on her belly. Her face was swollen from crying. But it was the caption that hit him. He left, said he couldn't handle it, said he wasn't ready to be a father. My family won't speak to me. His family called me names I won't repeat. And I'm here, 6 months pregnant, alone, scared. But my baby deserves better than being unwanted. So I'm trying. I'm working. I'm saving. And maybe I'll fail. Maybe I'm not strong enough. But I'll try. Because my baby is growing. Every day. And even though everything hurts, I can feel them moving. I'll be okay. We'll be okay. It's just really hard right now. Yang Rui stood frozen, staring at the screen, reading those words over and over. Something in him cracked, or broke, or maybe woke up after years of forced hibernation. This woman, this stranger, was carrying a baby alone, abandoned by the father, rejected by both families, struggling to survive. And something about it resonated with Yang Rui in ways he couldn't immediately explain. Maybe it was the pregnancy, reminded him of what he couldn't have. Maybe it was her face, something that suggested she'd suffered, that she understood surviving things that should have destroyed you. Maybe it was the timing, or maybe it was just her. Something about her specifically, about the way she protected her belly even in a photograph. Something about her touched something in him he'd thought was dead. He looked at the post details. Her name was Raina Muen, American, currently living in Busan, teaching English and doing freelance design work, alone, struggling, trying to survive in a foreign country without support. Yang Rui stood there for a long time, and he made a decision. Not thought through, not strategic, just immediate and absolute. He would protect her. He would make sure she and her baby were safe. He would do what the father hadn't done, what both families had failed to do. It was insane. He knew it was insane. He didn't know this woman, had no obligation to her. And getting involved created exactly the kind of vulnerability he'd spent years avoiding, was giving his enemies potential leverage. But he didn't care. Something about seeing her face, reading her words, it made all his careful rules seem empty. What was the point of power if you never used it for anything good? What was the point of surviving if you never actually lived? He called his assistant, No Se-yeon, 31 years old. Brilliant. Cold. Efficient. She'd worked for him for 3 years. She handled intelligence, strategy. She was good at her job. Loyal. But she also had her own agenda. She'd been in love with him for years. He knew, just chose not to acknowledge it. The phone rang twice. Yes? I need you to find someone. Young-rae's voice was controlled. A woman. American. Black. Name Raina Mwen. Living somewhere in Busan. I want everything. Background. Current situation. Address. Everything. By tomorrow. There was a pause. May I ask why? No. Get me the information. Of course, I'll have it by morning. He hung up, looked back at the photograph, at Raina's face, at the promise he'd just made without her knowledge, the promise that her life was about to change. It was the beginning. When a cold, controlled mafia boss looked at a photograph of a pregnant stranger and felt something he'd thought was gone forever. Compassion, protectiveness, the willingness to risk everything for someone he'd never met. The next morning, Se-yeon delivered the information, a complete dossier on Raina Mwen. Raina was 25 years old, born and raised in Philadelphia, only child. Parents had died in a car accident when she was 20. She'd come to Korea 3 years ago for a teaching position, had stayed because she'd fallen in love with someone, Lee Do-jin, 29 years old, from a relatively wealthy family. Then Raina got pregnant, and everything changed. Do-jin had panicked. His family had been even worse. They'd seen Raina as unsuitable, an American, black, different culture. The pregnancy had given them the excuse to push for separation. They'd been cruel. Do-jin had caved, had left her 6 months pregnant, alone in a country where she had no family. The dossier included financial information. Raina was struggling. Teaching jobs didn't pay well. Freelance design work was sporadic. She was behind on rent, barely maintaining. Her apartment was in an older building, 4th floor walk-up, no elevator. She had one friend who'd recently moved back to America. So Raina was truly alone now, isolated, struggling, exactly as her post had suggested. Young-rae read through everything, and with each page his determination grew. This woman deserved better. This child deserved better. Do you want me to continue monitoring? Se-yeon asked. Yes, discreetly. I want to know where she goes, what she does, whether she needs anything. But she can't know. Can't feel watched. Understand? Se-yeon nodded. But her expression was troubled. This is dangerous. Getting involved with someone vulnerable, someone who will draw attention. Your enemies will use her against you. I know. Then why? Young-rae was quiet. Because someone has to. Because she's alone. Because that baby deserves protection. Because I have power, and what's the point if I never use it for anything good? Because looking at her reminded me I'm human, and I'm tired of pretending I'm not. For the next 4 days, Young-rae watched, through the people he'd assigned, through reports, and what he saw broke his heart. He watched Raina struggle up those stairs with groceries, saw her stop halfway, breathing hard, hand on her belly, exhausted. carrying cheap food because that's all she could afford. He watched her at work, teaching children, patient, kind, but tired, so tired. Pregnant body demanding rest she couldn't afford. He watched her walking alone, hand always on her belly, talking to her baby, promising things would be okay. But her eyes showed fear, uncertainty. And one night, he watched her cry. Walking home from the store. Started raining suddenly. She'd forgotten her umbrella, just got soaked. And something broke her. She stopped under an awning, set down her bags, put her hand on her belly, and sobbed. Quietly, shoulders shaking, apologizing to her baby for not being enough, for not having more to offer. Young-rae watched from his car, couldn't hear her words, but could see her pain, and something in him broke too. Whatever walls he'd built around his heart, she demolished them. Just by being real, being vulnerable, being someone who needed help she wasn't getting. He couldn't watch anymore, couldn't stay distant. He started small. The next day, he arranged for her landlord to receive anonymous payment covering 3 months' rent. Arranged for her bills to be paid, for her to receive a gift card with a note saying she'd won a drawing. Small things, untraceable. Things that would help without revealing who was helping. He hired a handyman to fix problems in her building. The leaky faucet, the loose railing, all presented as regular maintenance. He watched the effect. Watched relief flood her face. Watched tension leave her shoulders. Watched her actually smile when she could buy better food. It wasn't enough, but it was something. And for the first time in years, Young-rae felt like he was doing something that mattered. Something human. Something good. But he knew he couldn't stay hidden forever. Eventually, he'd need to reveal himself. That opportunity came on a Thursday evening, 10 days after he'd first seen her photograph. Raina was walking home from work, later than usual, dark and wet from earlier rain. She was tired, 6 months pregnant, just wanting to get home. 3 men stepped out of an alley, young, street criminals. They surrounded her quickly. "Give us your bag," one said. "Phone too, quick." Raina clutched her bag. "Please, I don't have much. I'm pregnant. Please don't hurt me." "Bag, now." More aggressive. Raina's hands went to her belly, protective, scared, shaking. And then a voice. Deep, cold, commanding. "Step away from her." All 4 of them turned. A figure stood maybe 15 feet away, tall, wearing an expensive black coat. Presence unmistakable. Young-rae stepped into light. Let them see his face. Let them see the tattoo on his neck. The black moon insignia. The 3 men recognized it immediately. Understood what it meant. Their confidence evaporated. "Leave. Don't come back to this area. If I hear about you causing problems, I'll find you, understand?" They understood. Ran. Disappeared. Leaving Raina standing alone with her rescuer. Rain starting again. She stared at him, breathing hard, still scared, but also confused. "Who are you? Why did you help me? Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" "No, because of you." She was trembling. "But I don't understand. Why were you here?" "Yes, I know you. I've been watching over you, making sure you're safe. I saw your situation, decided to help." "You've been watching me?" Fear in her voice now. "That's not helping. That's stalking. You need to stay away from me. I understand this is frightening, but I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to protect you. You and your baby deserve safety, support. I can provide them." Rain was falling harder. Young-rae shrugged off his coat, stepped closer slowly, held it out. Please, take this. You're getting wet. Raina looked at the coat, then at his face. Saw something there. Not just danger, but genuine concern. She took the coat. Put it around her shoulders. Thank you, she said quietly. For helping. But please don't follow me anymore. I just want to be left alone. Those men who threatened you, they'll find other victims. That doesn't bother you? Of course it bothers me. But what am I supposed to do? You don't have to. That's my job. I protect this neighborhood. Those men won't hurt anyone else. And neither will anyone else who might target you specifically. Why would anyone target me specifically? Because of me. Because I've shown interest in protecting you. That makes you potentially vulnerable. So I need to make sure you're safe. That's responsibility I've accepted. Raina looked at him. Really looked. Saw past the intimidating presence to something wounded underneath. To someone carrying pain. What's your name? Young-rae. Raina. I know. A slight smile. You should go home. Get dry. Rest. I'll be around. Not following. Just keeping the area safe. And if I tell you to stop? Then I'll stop being visible. But I won't stop protecting you. Can't. You can accept it gracefully or resist it angrily. But either way, you'll be safe. That's not negotiable. It should have made her angry. But somehow it didn't. Maybe because she was exhausted. Maybe because she'd been alone so long. Okay, she said finally. But boundaries. Clear boundaries. You don't come to my apartment uninvited. Don't approach me at work. Don't make decisions for me. If you're going to protect me, you do it without taking away my choices. Agreed? Agreed. Thank you for trusting me. I know I haven't earned it. But I'll try to be worthy of it. She left then, walked home wearing his coat. Still scared, still confused, but also feeling something she hadn't felt in months. Not alone. Like maybe someone had her back. It was the beginning. The first real interaction. The moment they became more than stranger and hidden protector. Neither of them knew where it would lead. Neither could predict how deeply they'd matter to each other. But they were about to find out. About to discover that sometimes the most unlikely connections become the most important. That sometimes the person you should avoid becomes the person you can't live without. That sometimes love comes from finding someone willing to stand between you and danger. That was what they were building. In the rain. In the darkness. Against all reason. A connection that would save them both. Or destroy them. Or maybe, if they were very lucky, do both, and somehow leave them stronger for it. The next morning, Se-yeon delivered the complete dossier on Raina Muen. Everything discoverable through careful research. Raina was 25 years old, born and raised in Philadelphia. Only child. Parents had died in a car accident when she was 20. She'd come to South Korea 3 years ago for a teaching position, had stayed because she'd fallen in love with Lee Do-jin, 29 years old, from a wealthy Korean family. They'd dated for 2 years, talked about future. Then Raina got pregnant. Everything changed. Do-jin panicked. His family was worse. They'd seen Raina as unsuitable from the beginning. An American. Black. Different culture. The pregnancy gave them the excuse they needed. They'd been cruel. Made clear that Raina and her baby were not welcome, would never be accepted. Do-jin chose his family over Raina, left her 6 months pregnant, alone in a country where she had no support system. The dossier showed she was struggling financially. Teaching jobs didn't pay well. Freelance design work was sporadic, behind on rent, barely maintaining. Her apartment was in an older building, 4th floor walk-up, no elevator, small studio. She had one friend who'd recently moved back to America, so Raina was truly alone now. Young-rae read through everything, With each page, his determination grew. This woman deserved better. This child deserved better. "Do you want me to continue monitoring?" Se-yeon asked. "Yes, discreetly. I want to know where she goes, what she needs, whether anyone threatens her. But she can't know. Can't feel watched. Understand?" Se-yeon nodded, but her expression was troubled. "This is dangerous. Getting involved with someone vulnerable. Someone who will draw attention. Your enemies will use her against you." "I know." "Then why?" "Because someone has to. Because she's alone. Because that baby deserves protection. Because I have power, and what's the point of having it if I never use it for anything good?" For the next 4 days, Young-rae watched through discreet observation, through reports that came in regularly, and what he saw broke his heart. He watched Raina struggle up those stairs with groceries, saw her stop halfway, breathing hard, hand on her belly, exhausted but determined, carrying cheap food because that's all she could afford. He watched her at work, teaching English to children, patient, kind, but tired, so tired. Pregnant body demanding rest she couldn't afford. He watched her walking alone, hand always on her belly, talking to her baby, promising things would be okay, that they'd figure it out. But her eyes showed fear, uncertainty. And one night, he watched her cry. Walking home from the store. Started raining suddenly. She'd forgotten her umbrella. Had groceries in both hands. Just got soaked. And something about it broke her. She stopped under an awning, set down her bags, put her hand on her belly, and sobbed. Quiet tears mixing with rain. Shoulders shaking, apologizing to her baby for not being enough, for not having more to offer, for bringing them into difficult circumstances. Young-rae watched from his car, could see her pain, her defeat. And something in him broke too. Whatever walls he'd built around his heart, she demolished them without knowing. He couldn't watch anymore, couldn't stay distant. So he started helping. Arranged for her landlord to receive anonymous payment covering 3 months' rent, covered her medical bills through a charitable organization, sent her a gift card to a grocery store saying she'd won a customer drawing. Small things, untraceable things, things that would help without revealing who was helping. He watched the effect, watched relief flood her face when she learned her rent was paid, watched tension leave her shoulders when financial pressure eased, watched her actually smile when she could buy better food. It wasn't enough, but it was something. And for the first time in years, Young-rae felt like he was doing something that mattered, something human, something good. But he knew he couldn't stay hidden forever. Eventually, he'd need to reveal himself, and that meant waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity. That opportunity came 10 days after he'd first seen her photograph. Raina was walking home from work, later than usual. Sun had already set. Busan streets were dark and wet from earlier rain. She was tired, 6 months pregnant, just wanting to get home. 3 men stepped out of an alley, young, early 20s. Street criminals who saw a pregnant woman alone and thought, "Easy victim." They surrounded her quickly. "Give us your bag," one said. "Phone too, quick." Raina clutched her bag. "Please, I don't have much. I'm pregnant. Please don't hurt me." "Bag. Now." More aggressive, moving closer. Raina's hands went to her belly, protective, scared, shaking, trying to decide whether to fight or comply. And then a voice, deep, cold, commanding. "Step away from her." A figure stood maybe 15 feet away, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive black coat. Presence unmistakable. Young-rae stepped into better light. Let them see his face. Let them see the tattoo on his neck. The black moon insignia. The 3 men recognized it immediately. understood what it meant. Their confidence evaporated. They weren't stupid. Knew better than to challenge someone from a major organization. Sorry. Didn't know she was protected. Our mistake. They backed away and ran. Reina stared at him, breathing hard, still scared, but also confused. Who are you? Why did you help me? She looked at his neck, at the tattoo. Her expression changed, fear mixing with wariness. She knew what that mark meant. Are you okay? Young Ray kept his distance. Did they hurt you? No. Because of you. She was trembling. But I don't understand. Why were you here? Do you know me? Yes. I know you. I've been watching over you, making sure you're safe. I saw your situation, saw you were alone and struggling, decided to help. You've been watching me? Her voice rose. That's not helping, that's stalking. You need to stay away from me. I understand this is frightening, but I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to protect you. You and your baby deserve safety, support. I can provide them. I don't need protection from a... She stopped. From a criminal. From someone dangerous. Rain was falling harder, both getting soaked. Young Ray shrugged off his coat, stepped closer slowly, held it out. Please, take this. You're getting wet. I won't follow, won't bother you, but please take the coat. Reina looked at the coat, then at his face, saw something there. Not just danger, but genuine concern. Real worry. She took the coat, put it around her shoulders. It was warm, felt safe. Thank you, she said quietly, for helping. But please don't follow me anymore. Don't watch me. I just want to be left alone. I understand. But those men who threatened you will find other victims. That doesn't bother you? Of course it bothers me, but what am I supposed to do? You don't have to. That's my job. I protect this neighborhood. Those men won't hurt anyone else, and neither will anyone else who might target you specifically. Why would anyone target me specifically? Because of me. Because I've shown interest in protecting you. That makes you vulnerable to people who want to hurt me. So I need to make sure you're safe. That's responsibility I've accepted. Reina looked at him. Really looked. Saw past the intimidating presence to something wounded. To someone carrying pain. What's your name? Young Ray. Reina? I know. A slight smile. You should go home. Get dry. I'll be around. Not following. Just keeping the area safe. You won't see me. But I'll be there if you need help. And if I tell you to stop? Then I'll stop being visible. But I won't stop protecting you. Can't. Won't let you and your baby be vulnerable when I have resources to help. You can accept it gracefully or resist it angrily, but either way, you'll be safe. It should have made her angry, but somehow it didn't. Maybe because she was exhausted. Maybe because she'd been alone so long. Maybe because something in his eyes told her he meant it. Okay, she said finally. But boundaries. You don't come to my apartment uninvited. Don't approach me at work. Don't make decisions for me. If you're going to protect me, you do it without taking away my choices. Agreed? Agreed. Thank you for trusting me. I know I haven't earned it, but I'll try to be worthy of it. She left then, walked home wearing his coat, still scared, still confused, but also feeling something she hadn't felt in months. Not alone, like maybe someone had her back, someone cared. It was the beginning, the first real interaction, the moment they became more than stranger and hidden protector, the moment their lives truly collided. Over the next 2 weeks, young Ray kept his promise. He didn't approach Reina directly, but he kept the neighborhood safe, and sometimes he left things. A bag of groceries by her door. Prenatal vitamins, fruit, protein. No note. No demand for thanks. Just provisions. She never acknowledged receiving them, never thanked him, but she also didn't refuse them. Because she needed it. And slowly, Yongray learned things. He learned she talked to her baby constantly, walking down the street, hand on her belly, having one-sided conversations, promising them safety and love, singing softly when she thought no one could hear. He learned she was stronger than she appeared, would struggle up those stairs but never complain, would work when she felt sick, would do whatever necessary to survive. And he learned she was lonely. So incredibly lonely. Would talk to shopkeepers just for human interaction. Would linger in public spaces just to be around people. It broke his heart. This strong, brave woman facing impossible circumstances completely alone. 3 weeks after their first meeting, Reina was returning from a doctor's appointment, looking troubled. She walked to a small park, sat on a bench despite the cold, put her face in her hands. Yongray approached carefully. Reina. She looked up, recognized him. Oh, hello? May I sit? She nodded. He sat beside her, not too close, both quiet for a moment. Is everything okay? He asked. You seem upset. Doctor's appointment. Everything's fine. The baby's fine. But also complicated. I need tests. Extra monitoring. Nothing dangerous yet, but could become dangerous. And careful means rest. Means less work. Means less money. I don't know how to afford this. Let me help. Let me pay for the medical care. For whatever you need. Your health is what matters. The baby's health. She laughed bitterly. And then what? I owe you? Become dependent? I've been down that road. I won't do that again. I don't want to own you. Don't want control. I just want you safe. You and your baby both. No strings. No demands. Just help because you need it and I can provide it. Nobody does that. Nobody gives without expecting something back. So what do you want? Yongray was quiet. I can't have children. Medical condition, irreversible. And then I saw you carrying life, fighting to protect your baby. Saw you being brave and strong. And I thought maybe I can't create life. But maybe I can protect it. Maybe protecting you and your baby gives my life meaning it's never had. Reina looked at him. Saw vulnerability he rarely showed. Saw that he was telling truth. I'm not your redemption project. I'm a person. With my own life. My own right to make decisions. I know. I'm not asking to take over your life. Just asking to make it easier. You can still make all decisions. Still be independent. Just with safety net. With support. Is that so terrible? It sounds wonderful. That's what scares me. And in my experience, when something seems too good, there's always a cost. Then test me. Set boundaries. Tell me what you're comfortable with. And if I ever cross a line, tell me. I'll stop. Your autonomy matters more than my need to protect. Reina put her hand on her belly. Felt her baby move. If I let you help, it's because my baby needs it. Not because I need it. That's the only reason. That's the best reason. The only reason that matters. She took a deep breath. Okay, then help with medical bills. Help with ensuring I can rest when needed. Help with good food and safe place to live. But that's it. You don't run my life. Don't make decisions for me. I'm not helpless. I'm just overwhelmed. I understand the difference. And I'll respect it. Thank you for trusting me. They sat together, both understanding that something had shifted, that what started as distant protection had become actual relationship, connection between two lonely people who found in each other something they needed. Over the next 2 weeks, Yang Rei proved himself. He paid for her medical care, arranged for the best obstetrician in Busan, paid her rent for 6 months, arranged for meal delivery, did it all without asking for anything, without making her feel obligated, and Reina was grateful. For the first time in months, she wasn't drowning, wasn't constantly terrified. She had help, real help. But with the help came something unexpected. Hope. She started hoping, started imagining a future that wasn't just survival. And hope was terrifying, because if it was taken away, the crash would be devastating. But that was a problem for another day. For now, she just accepted help, accepted that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to face this alone, that maybe someone actually cared, that maybe her baby would have more than just her struggling to provide. It was the beginning of something complicated, something that would be tested, something that might destroy them or save them. But it was real, and for both of them, that was enough. Over the next 2 weeks, Yang Rei kept his promise. He didn't approach Reina directly, didn't interfere with her daily life, but he kept the neighborhood safe, arranged for conveniences, fixed stairs, better lighting, presented as regular maintenance. Sometimes he left things, groceries by her door, prenatal vitamins, fruit, protein. No note, no demand for thanks, just provisions. She never acknowledged receiving them, but she also didn't refuse them, because she needed it. He learned things by paying attention. Learned she talked to her baby constantly, promising things would be okay, singing softly. He learned she was stronger than she appeared, would struggle upstairs but never complain, would work when sick, would push through exhaustion. And he learned she was lonely. So incredibly lonely. She'd talk to shopkeepers just for human interaction, would linger in public spaces just to be around people. It broke his heart. This strong woman, carrying life, facing impossible circumstances, completely alone. 3 weeks after their first meeting, Reina was returning from a doctor's appointment, looking troubled, like she'd received bad news. She walked to a small park, sat on a bench, put her face in her hands. He approached carefully. Reina. She looked up, startled. Oh, hello? May I sit? She nodded. He sat beside her, not too close. Is everything okay? He asked. Doctor's appointment. Everything's fine. The baby's fine, but complicated. I need tests, extra monitoring, and careful means rest. Less work, less money. And I'm already barely managing. Let me help. Let me pay for the medical care. Money isn't an issue. Your health is. She laughed. Bitter sound. And then what? I owe you? Become dependent? I've been down that road. I won't do that again. I don't want to own you. Don't want control. Just want you safe. No strings, no demands. Just help because you need it. Nobody does that. So what do you want? What's the real agenda? Yang Rei was quiet. I can't have children. Medical condition. Irreversible. And then I saw you, carrying life, fighting to protect your baby. And I thought, maybe I can't create life, but maybe I can protect it. Maybe protecting you and your baby gives my life meaning. Reina looked at him, saw vulnerability, saw pain, saw truth. I'm not your redemption project. I'm a person, with my own life, my own right to make decisions. I know, I'm not asking to take over your life, just asking to make it easier. You can still make all decisions, just with safety net. Is that so terrible? It sounds wonderful, Reina admitted. That's what scares me. It sounds too good. And when something seems too good, there's always a cost. Always a moment when the help becomes a cage. Then test me. Set boundaries. If I ever cross a line, tell me, I'll stop. Your autonomy matters more than my need to protect. Reina put her hand on her belly, felt her baby move. This wasn't just about her anymore. Her pride, her independence. She was responsible for someone else now. If I let you help, it's because my baby needs it. Not because I'm weak, but because I'm putting my child first. That's the best reason. And I decide how much. I decide boundaries. And if it becomes too much, I walk away. Agreed? Agreed. Completely. Okay. Help with medical bills. Help with food and safe place to live. But that's it. You don't run my life. I'm not helpless. I'm just overwhelmed. I understand. Thank you for trusting me. Over the next 2 weeks, Youngray proved himself. He paid for her medical care. Best obstetrician in Busan. Specialists. He paid her rent for 6 months, gave her financial security, arranged for meal delivery. He did it all without asking for anything, just provided and stepped back. Reina was grateful. For the first time in months, she wasn't drowning, wasn't terrified, had real help. But with the help came something unexpected, something terrifying. Hope. She started hoping, started imagining a future that wasn't just survival, and hope was dangerous. Because if Youngray changed his mind, or if his world caught up to him, the crash would be devastating. She'd have tasted something better, so she started building walls, protecting herself, pushing back against the help. One evening, Youngray came to visit. But tonight, Reina was different. Distant. Are you okay? He asked. I need to set new boundaries. This is too much. I'm starting to rely on it. That's not safe. I need to pull back. Remember how to manage alone, because you won't be here forever. Youngray felt something cold settle in his chest. I'm not going anywhere. This isn't temporary. This is commitment. You can't promise that. Life changes. 1,000 things could end this. And I need to be ready. Because if I depend and you leave, I won't recover. So I'm setting boundaries now, before I'm in too deep. I'm not going to leave. You don't know that. And I can't take the risk. Can't let myself hope. Because hope is cruelty. I've hoped before. And every time, that hope destroyed me. So I'm done hoping. Youngray stepped closer. I understand you're scared. Understand you've been hurt. But I'm not him. I'm not Dojin. I'm someone who has resources and ability to ensure you're safe. And I'm offering all of that. Not temporarily. Because you deserve it. You're dangerous, Reina said. Voice breaking. Not in the obvious way. You're dangerous because you make me hope. Because you make me believe I don't have to do this alone. And that hope is killing me. Because when you leave, and you will leave eventually, I won't survive it. So I'm protecting myself now. Tears were streaming down her face. I'm not giving you hope, Youngray said. Hope is uncertain. What I'm giving is certainty. Promise. Commitment. I will be here. Will help you. Will ensure you and your baby are safe. As long as I'm alive. That's my promise, and I keep my promises. Always. Can you accept that? Reina wanted to. God, she wanted to. But fear held her back. Fear that said, everyone leaves. Everyone disappoints. I don't know. I want to believe you. But I'm so tired of being hurt. So tired of hoping and being disappointed. I don't think I can survive it happening again. So maybe it's better not to hope. That's not living. That's existing. And your baby deserves better. Deserves a mother who's living rather than just surviving. I'm not asking you to trust completely. Just asking you to try. To give me chance to show you that not everyone leaves. Will you try? For your baby? If not for yourself? Reina looked at him. at this dangerous man who was being so gentle, who understood her fear. But her baby moved, kicked, reminded her that this wasn't about her pride or fear. This was about doing what was best for her child. And what was best was accepting help. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll try. I'll let you help. I'll try not to push away. I'll try to believe you mean it. That's all I can promise." Youngray felt relief wash over him. "That's enough. That's all I'm asking. Just try. Let me prove myself. Let me show you what we can be. Together. Protecting your baby. Creating safety. That's all I want. The chance to try." They stood close, not touching, but connected. Two wounded people finding in each other something they'd both given up on. Someone who understood. Someone who saw their pain and didn't turn away. It was fragile, new, uncertain, but it was real. And for both of them, that was enough. Enough to keep trying, keep hoping, keep believing that maybe something good could come from two broken people finding each other. Maybe they could build something worth protecting, something that justified hope, even when hope felt like cruelty. The peace lasted 5 days. 5 days of Reina letting herself hope that maybe Youngray was different, that maybe her baby would have security. And then, Dojin came back. She was coming home from the grocery store, carrying bags Youngray's money had purchased, started up the stairs. And there he was, Dojin, sitting on the landing, waiting. Her heart stopped. Months since he'd walked away, and now he was here, looking angry, entitled. "Hello, Reina." His voice was cold. "We need to talk." "I don't think we do. You made your choice. You left. I've been hearing things. Hearing you've been seeing someone, some criminal, letting him provide for my child. That's not acceptable." Reina felt rage building. "Your baby? You abandoned us. You walked away. And now you call this your baby? You have no rights. You gave that up when you left? I'm the father. That gives me legal rights. I'll fight you. Get a lawyer. Make your life hell, unless you come back." She saw it clearly. Jealousy. He didn't want her. Didn't want this baby. Just didn't want anyone else to have them. "You're jealous. This isn't about being a father. This is about ego. If you don't cooperate, I'll tell everyone about your criminal boyfriend. I'll destroy your reputation. Everything." Before she could respond, a voice came from below. "That's enough." Youngray stood at the bottom of the stairs, expression flat, controlled, but barely contained violence in his posture. Dojin's confidence faltered. "This doesn't concern you." "Wrong." Youngray started up the stairs. Slow, deliberate. "Reina is under my protection. That baby is under my protection, and you're threatening them." "You can't threaten me. I have rights. I'm the father." "Rights you abandoned when you walked away. You're not a father. You're an abandoned responsibility, something to be cleaned up." Dojin backed away. "She'll regret this. When you leave like everyone does, she'll be alone again." Youngray stopped close to Dojin. Voice quiet, deadly. "I won't leave. I won't abandon her. I won't do what you did. I keep promises. You should go now. Before I forget that violence creates more problems than it solves. Leave. Don't come back. Don't contact Reina again. You had your chance. Live with that choice." Dojin ran. Gone. Reina sat on the stairs. Youngray sat beside her. "Thank you," she whispered. "Always. That's the promise." That evening, Youngray's phone rang. "Seon. Urgent. We have a problem. Park Sang-ho learned about Reina. He's sending people, tonight, to prove that caring about her was a mistake." Youngray felt cold dread. He called Reina. You're in danger. People who want to hurt me are going to try to hurt you. Pack a bag. Meet me outside in 10 minutes. I'm moving you somewhere safe. What? Why? No time to explain. Just trust me. 20 minutes later, she was in his car. Confused. Scared. Safe house. He explained. Because I protected you. Because I made you matter. My enemies know the best way to hurt me is to threaten you. I'm sorry. But I'll keep you safe. Maybe I should just leave. Go back to America. No. Running makes you more vulnerable. Staying under my protection is safest. Trust me. They arrived at a secure building. You'll stay here until I eliminate the threat. Reina looked around. Nice, but still a cage. I hate this. Hate that your world is destroying mine. Hate that my baby is in the middle of this. I know, but this is temporary. I'll fix it. How can you protect me from yourself, from your world? Maybe the best protection is distance. Youngray felt something break. I can't let you go. Can't abandon you even though it might be kinder. Because you matter. Because protecting you gives my life meaning. I know that's selfish, but I can't give you up. Reina saw his pain, his anguish. Then protect us. Not halfway. Eliminate the threat. Use everything you have to ensure my baby is safe. Complete commitment. Can you give me that? Yes. Absolutely yes. I'll make you untouchable. That's my promise. Then do it. And when this is over, we'll talk about what we are to each other. Youngray left. Began eliminating threats, making clear that Reina was protected, that touching her meant war. It took 3 days. Strategic pressure, making examples. Park backed down. Reina became known as untouchable. But on the 3rd day, something went wrong. One of Park's people, a young member who wanted to make a name, made a move, waited outside the safe house. When security briefly lapsed, he struck. Knife. Fast. Not to kill, but to wound. Security responded immediately, but damage was done. Reina was hurt, bleeding, 7 months pregnant, terrified. They called ambulance, called Youngray. Those minutes were the longest of his life. Which brings us back to where we started. To Youngray outside the emergency room. Covered in blood, shaking, begging for one more chance. 24 hours later, she woke up. Groggy, but alive. The baby was alive. Youngray was there, sleeping in a chair, blood-stained clothes. She touched his hand. He woke immediately. You're awake. Relief overwhelming. You're okay. The baby's okay. I'm okay. We're okay. We survived. I'm sorry. This is my fault. I failed you. Stop. This wasn't your fault. This was one person making a terrible choice. You can't prevent every threat. Can't be perfect. You protected us. You saved us. That's what matters. But if I hadn't been in your life, this never would have happened. Maybe. But my world was already poisoned. I was alone, struggling. Your world brought danger, but it also brought protection, support, someone who cared. I'll accept the danger if it comes with knowing I'm not alone. You're worth it. Youngray felt tears threatening. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm grateful, and I promise this won't happen again. Then be here. For us, not just as protector, but as person, as family. Can you do that? Yes, I can be that. I want to be that. For you. For your baby. For as long as you'll have me. Then we're doing this. We're building a family. Unconventional, complicated, but family. You, me, and this baby. Together. Agreed? Agreed. Completely agreed. Thank you for trusting me, for making my life mean something. 3 months later, Raina gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Beautiful, strong, perfect. Young Ray was there, holding her hand through labor, crying when the baby cried, falling in love with a child that wasn't biologically his but was his in every way that mattered. He protected them, made sure they had everything: safety, security, love. Made sure that baby grew up knowing she was wanted, cherished, protected. Raina watched him transform, watched the cold mafia boss become something softer, warmer, more human. Watched him play with the baby, sing lullabies, be the father she'd hoped for. They never married, but they built a life, built a family, built something good from broken pieces. Sometimes Raina looked at young Ray holding their daughter and marveled at how life worked, how a social media post had changed everything, how a stranger's compassion had saved her. And sometimes young Ray looked at them and felt complete, felt purpose, felt like his life finally meant something beyond survival. Like all the darkness had been preparation to make him strong enough to protect them. It wasn't perfect. There were still dangers, still complications, but they faced it together, as family, as people who'd chosen each other and kept choosing each other every day, as people who'd learned that sometimes broken people can build something whole, together. That was their story. Born in rain and blood and desperation, built through choices that seemed wrong but were right, sustained by commitment that defied logic but followed heart. It was real. It was theirs. It was everything. No one is born to face the world alone. Sometimes the most broken people find each other at exactly the right moment to begin healing. Love isn't about forgetting the past. It's about learning to open the door one more time, to give life a chance to be gentle with us. If you were in this situation, at this stage of life, would you believe that someone who's been abandoned still deserves to be loved again? Have you ever witnessed someone change, become better, simply because they were treated with kindness? Share your story so others watching can feel warmth and less alone.